People look at me and see an invincible hero. Faster than a speeding bullet, stronger than steel, a symbol of hope. But even I have nights when the weight feels crushing. Nights when saving the world still leaves me wondering if I'm doing enough. It happened after one of the darkest days of my life. A massive threat from the stars nearly destroyed half the planet. I stopped it, but not without cost. Too many lives lost, too much pain left behind. When the dust settled, I flew far away, across oceans, past mountains, until I reached a silent desert under a sky full of stars. The Sahara at midnight. Nothing but sand and silence. I landed, dropped to my knees in the cool sand, and for the first time in years, I let myself feel everything. The loneliness of being the last son of Krypton. The fear that no matter how fast I fly or how hard I fight, I can't truly heal this broken world. I whispered into the night, "What if all this power isn't enough?" That's when he came. No dramatic entrance. Just soft footsteps in the sand. I looked up and saw a man in simple robes walking toward me. Bare feet, dust-covered, with eyes so kind they seemed to hold the weight of every soul who had ever lived. I stood slowly. My voice was rough as I asked, "Who are you?" He smiled, a gentle, knowing smile that felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. "I am Jesus," he said. "I have been watching you, Kal-El. Clark Kent, Superman." I was stunned. He knew my names, all of them. The ones from Krypton, from Smallville, from Metropolis. I sat back down, and he sat beside me in the sand like an old friend. I poured my heart out to him. I told him about the explosion of Krypton, about Jor-El sending me here as a last hope, about Martha and Jonathan teaching me that great power comes with great responsibility, about my vow to be a force for good, to stand for truth and justice. I told him how I've moved mountains, stopped disasters, even turned back time. But I still can't stop people from hurting each other, from losing hope. I said, sometimes I feel like I'm just holding back the darkness for a little while longer, like I'm not enough. Jesus listened with such patience. When I finished, he placed a hand on my shoulder. His touch carried a peace I had never felt, not from the yellow sun, not from any victory. He spoke softly. "Clark, you were sent to show this world what strength can look like. But the greatest power is not in lifting cities or flying faster than light. It is love. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." He told me about his own life, how he healed the sick, fed the hungry, and stood against those who oppressed the weak. How the same people who cheered for him later demanded his death. How he was nailed to a cross, carrying every pain, every sin, every cry for help this world would ever make. And yet, he said, death could not hold me. Love is stronger than the grave. I rose again so that no one would ever have to walk in darkness alone. We talked for what felt like hours under those desert stars. I asked him how he could still believe in humanity after all the betrayal and suffering. He looked at me and replied, "Because I see what you see. The light still shining in every heart. You remind them of hope with your actions. I offer them hope that lasts forever. Serve the least of these, for whatever you do for them, you do for me." Before he left, he placed his hand over the S on my chest, right over my heart. A warm light filled me, lifting the heavy burden I had carried since the battle. The doubts didn't disappear, but they became bearable. He said, "Go back, Superman. Keep protecting the innocent. Keep standing for truth and justice, but remember, you are not their savior. You point them toward the one who is." Then he simply walked back into the desert night and was gone. That night changed everything for me. For the first time, I realized my strength had limits. But God's love didn't. When I returned to Metropolis, something inside me was different. I couldn't stop thinking about what Jesus had said, about love, about sacrifice, about hope that survives even death. A few days later, I did something I had never done before. I flew to a quiet library in Smallville, the same town where Ma and Pa raised me. Late at night, when no one was around, I picked up a Bible for the first time. Not as research for a story. not as Superman preparing for a threat. Just as Clark, searching. I started in the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I read about Jesus' life, his teachings, his miracles. Every page felt like he was speaking directly to me again. The parables about the Good Samaritan, the prodigal son, the Sermon on the Mount, they all pointed to the same truth he had shared with me in the desert. Love God with all your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself. I kept reading. Night after night, whenever the world allowed me a quiet moment, I would find a hidden place, sometimes on a mountain peak, sometimes floating above the clouds, and open those pages. The more I read, the closer I felt to God. I saw how Jesus wasn't just a wise teacher or a miracle worker. He was the Son of God, come to bridge the gap between a broken humanity and a loving Father. The Old Testament stories showed me God's faithfulness through history. The Psalms gave me words for the doubts I sometimes still carried. The letters of Paul reminded me that even the strongest can be made strong through grace. Reading the Bible brought me closer to God in ways I never expected. It taught me that my powers are a gift, but my faith is a choice. When I feel overwhelmed now, I don't just rely on the yellow sun for strength. I turn to prayer. I ask for wisdom, for compassion, for the courage to keep serving even when it's hard. Jesus showed me that being a hero isn't only about saving bodies. It's about pointing people toward the one who can save their souls. I still fly out every day to protect the innocent. I still stand between danger and those who can't protect themselves. But now I do it with a deeper peace, knowing I'm not carrying the world alone. That desert night wasn't the end of my journey. It was the beginning. Meeting Jesus led me to the Bible, and the Bible led me closer to God. Now, when the darkness feels heavy, I remember his words. I am with you always, even to the end of the age. In a way, Jesus didn't just meet me in the desert. He walked with me into a new chapter of my life, one where strength and faith work together. And because of that, I keep flying. Not just as Superman, but as a man who has found the greatest hope of all. Thank you for listening. Sometimes even the Man of Steel needs to be reminded that the real power comes from above.